Hello, Chillify. I'm ready to craft compelling audio dramas for you. The screech of brakes tore through the night, ripping apart my foolish 28-year life. In an instant, the truck crashed. Through the shattered glass, I saw Ethan, my nominal guardian, instinctively shield the woman beside him. That woman was Lily, my adopted sister. That conniving, green tea flower, the one I had hated with every fiber of my being. Ethan didn't even spare me a single glance. His eyes were filled with terror, but all that terror was for Lily. Fresh blood streamed from my forehead, staining my vision crimson. I heard Lily sobbing in Ethan's arms. "Ethan, is Evelyn all right? It's all my fault. I shouldn't have pretended to call her here." Even at the brink of death, I still had to listen to these hypocritical words. I had lost miserably. Lost the battle for the heart of the man I loved. Lost in protecting my own family's assets, and finally, lost my very life. My consciousness slowly faded into darkness, carrying with it an unyielding, bitter resentment. "Evelyn, Evelyn, are you all right?" A familiar voice pulled me back from the dark abyss. I gasped, opening my eyes, the dazzling crystal chandelier forcing me to squint. The luxurious surroundings were painfully familiar. This was Ethan's 25th birthday party, 3 years before the accident, the exact moment all the tragedies began. I looked down at the wine-red evening gown I was wearing, then at my intact, scar-free hands. I've been reborn. "Evelyn, what's wrong with you? You look so pale." My best friend, Chloe, asked, shaking my shoulder anxiously. I shook my head, trying to calm the tsunami raging within me. "I'm fine, just a little lightheaded from the wine." Just then, a soft, clear voice spoke from behind me, tinged with apology. "Sister Evelyn, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to." I turned around. Lily stood there, holding an empty wine glass, a dazzling red wine stain splashed across her pristine white evening gown. Her delicate, beautiful face was now tear-streaked, her large, innocent eyes gazing at me, looking as pathetic as an abandoned bunny. Around us, whispers began to ripple. "Oh, it's that Evelyn Mew again, always causing trouble for Lily." "Poor Lily, she's clearly an adopted daughter of the Mew family, but her sister always bullies her. Look, she doesn't even bother to apologize." I looked at the scene before me, a soul-deep weariness washing over me. In my previous life, it was right here that Lily had accidentally spilled wine on herself, then burst into tears, apologizing profusely. With my fiery temper and blind jealousy, I couldn't control myself and cursed her as a fake, deliberately seeking attention. The result, Ethan immediately appeared, pulled Lily into his arms, and his gaze at me was icy cold. He said, "Evelyn, you've gone too far. Lily was just careless." Those words were like a dagger to my heart, making me lose even more control. I became a shrewish, venomous woman in everyone's eyes, while Lily, nestled in Ethan's arms, received sympathy and protection. But I was no longer the Evelyn Mew of the past life. I looked at the sniffling Lily, a faint, almost imperceptible smile playing on my lips. I walked over, not an ounce of anger showing. Instead, I pulled a handkerchief from my purse and gently dabbed the wine stain on her dress. My actions stunned everyone, including Lily. "Look, such a beautiful dress, now it's stained." My voice was so gentle that even I was surprised. "It's my fault for standing here and getting in your way. Don't cry anymore, crying won't make you pretty." Lily stared blankly, tears still clinging to her lashes. "Sister, aren't you angry with me?" "Angry with you for what?" I smiled. "It's just a dress. You're my sister, aren't you more precious than a dress?" I said, then turned to the people around us, my voice still gentle but loud enough for everyone to hear. "Please don't misunderstand. Our Lily is a little clumsy, but she's a good girl. As her elder sister, it's my duty to take care of her." The whispers died down. Everyone's gaze shifted from criticism to surprise, then to a hint of confusion. Lily was utterly bewildered. The meticulously prepared script she had crafted had completely derailed. She wanted to play the victim, but I wouldn't give her the chance. Instead, I elevated her, making myself seem like a generous and magnanimous sister. Just then, Ethan walked over. He looked at me, then at Lily, his sword-like brows furrowing slightly. His gaze was no longer icy cold as it had been in my previous life. Instead, it held a trace of scrutiny. "What's going on?" Before Lily could even open her mouth, I smiled and spoke first. "It's nothing, Ethan. My sister just accidentally stained her dress. I was about to take her upstairs to change." I took Lily's hand, feeling the stiffness in her palm. "Come on, Lily." Ethan watched our retreating backs, saying nothing, but I knew a tiny seed of doubt had been planted in his heart. Someone as fiery as me suddenly becoming gentle. A surprising play of deep sisterly affection being performed. If he wasn't a fool, he would have to think. In the lounge, after closing the door, Lily immediately pulled her hand away, her tears gone, replaced by a wary expression. "Sister, what do you mean?" I sat down on the sofa, casually crossing my legs, looking at her with an indifferent gaze. "What do I mean? Is it wrong for me to care about you? You've never been like this before." Lily bit her lip. "Oh, really?" I shrugged. "Perhaps I've had a change of heart. We're family. What's the point of fighting each other for outsiders to watch? Mom and Dad in heaven probably wouldn't be happy either." I deliberately brought up our adoptive parents, who were also my biological parents. They had died in an accident, leaving behind me and this adopted daughter, Lily. Lily's expression changed slightly. She knew that my weakness was family, and she also knew how much Ethan respected my father. I stood up, walked closer to her, and gently patted her shoulder. "Lily, you're still young. There are many things you don't understand. Just listen to me from now on, and I won't let you suffer any loss." With that, I didn't look at her chameleon-like changing expression anymore, but turned and left, leaving Lily alone in the room, consumed by confusion and unease. This was just the beginning of her play. This life, I wouldn't interfere anymore. I would be the most patient audience member, sitting in the front row, calmly watching her perform, make mistakes, and destroy everything herself. The atmosphere in the luxurious Bentley became unusually suffocating. From the moment we left the party until now, Ethan hadn't uttered a single word. His deep-set eyes occasionally glanced at me through the rearview mirror, carrying an undisguised look of scrutiny. I knew he was suspicious. An Evelyn Mew who always regarded Lily as a thorn in her side couldn't possibly transform overnight into a kind, forgiving elder sister. In my previous life, every time there was a conflict on the way home, Ethan would coldly reprimand me, and I would stubbornly argue back. Our quarrels usually ended with him retreating to the study to sleep, while I cried myself to sleep, hugging my pillow all night. But this time, I simply leaned my head against the car window in silence, watching the city lights blur past outside. My quietness seemed to annoy Ethan even more. Finally, he broke the silence. "You're not yourself today." I turned, smiling gently. "Oh, in what way?" "You and Lily," he cut straight to the point. "You've never treated her so kindly. People change, you know." I sighed, my tone carrying a hint of weariness and melancholy. "I'm tired too, Ethan, arguing, getting jealous, making a scene. Did any of that bring you closer to me? Or did it only push you further away, making you see Lily as more pitiful and in need of protection?" Ethan froze, his hands gripping the steering wheel tightly. My words were like a needle, not painful, but pricking the truth he had never admitted. "I've come to my senses," I continued, my voice steady. "Instead of doing useless things that make everyone dislike me, I might as well live my own life well. I am your legitimate wife, the eldest daughter of the Mew family. I don't need to compete with anyone." These words were half true, half false, both an explanation for my change and a reminder of my status. Ethan said nothing more, but I knew the suspicion in his heart had been replaced by a more complex emotion. He began to reassess me, the wife he had always considered shallow and troublesome. When we arrived at the villa, Butler Chen was waiting at the door. As soon as he saw us, he hastily reported, "Young master, young mistress, Miss Lily isn't feeling well and is resting in her room." I smirked to myself. Sure enough, one trick failed, so she pulled out another. The real show was about to begin. I immediately put on a worried expression, hurrying into the house, not forgetting to turn back and pull Ethan's arm. "Ethan, what's wrong with Lily? Is it my fault? She must have been scared at the party." Ethan looked at my genuinely distraught expression, and the complexity in his eyes deepened by a few degrees. We went upstairs. Lily was lying on the bed, her face pale, lips dry and cracked, looking incredibly frail. Seeing us enter, she struggled to sit up, her voice weak. "Sister, Ethan, you're back." "I'm fine, just a little tired." "What do you mean, fine?" I immediately raised my voice, full of urgency. "You're so pale and you say you're fine. Where's everyone? Call Dr. Wang here immediately. We need a full checkup for Miss Lily." As I spoke, I turned to Ethan, my eyes welling up. "Ethan, I'm so worried. Mom and Dad passed away early, leaving me with only this sister. If anything were to happen to her, how could I face our parents in the afterlife?" My acting was so flawless that even I had to admire it. Ethan looked at me, then at Lily, who looked a little startled on the bed. He nodded. "Evelyn's right. Let the doctor check her to be safe." Lily wanted to refuse, but she had no reason to. She could only watch helplessly as I excessively showed concern. Dr. Wang, our family doctor, arrived very quickly. After a careful examination, he stood up, his expression a little awkward. "Doctor, how is my sister?" I eagerly asked. Dr. Wang adjusted his glasses, looked at Ethan, and then said, Young master, young mistress, Miss Lily's health is perfectly normal, there are no issues at all. Perhaps it's just psychological pressure. A little rest and she'll be fine. The entire room fell silent. Lily's face went from pale to alternating red and green. Her play had been brought down in the most unceremonious way possible. I breathed a sigh of relief, patting my chest. Oh, thank goodness, you scared me to death. Lily, next time if you're tired, you must say so clearly, don't make me worry like this. Ethan said nothing, just quietly watched Lily, his eyes unfathomably deep. For the first time, his absolute trust in this white lotus flower had a crack. The next morning, I completely changed my style. Instead of flouncy dresses, I chose an elegant beige business suit. At breakfast, while Lily was still trying to play the frail role, I calmly placed a stack of documents in front of Ethan. What's this? He frowned. The latest quarterly financial report from U Corporation, I calmly replied. I want to take a look. Both Ethan and Lily stared at me in astonishment. Mu Corporation was my family's legacy. After my parents passed away, according to their will, Ethan was to temporarily manage it for me until I turned 30. Until now, I had never inquired about the company's affairs, only indulged myself. What are you looking at this for? Ethan asked, his tone slightly guarded. Father entrusted Mu Corporation to me. I can't be useless forever. I looked directly into his eyes. I want to learn to shoulder my responsibilities. Don't you want to help me? My reason was too sound for Ethan to refuse. He only nodded reluctantly. Lily, sitting next to him, her hand holding a glass of milk, trembled uncontrollably. She knew full well that her biggest target was Mu Corporation. If I started to get involved, all her plans would face significant obstacles. That evening, I sat in Father's study, poring over each page of the reports. With the knowledge and experience from my previous life, knowledge bought at the cost of my fortune and my life, I quickly noticed abnormalities, especially an investment project in a newly emerging tech company. On the surface, it seemed like a promising deal, but I remembered clearly. In my past life, this company declared bankruptcy after just 1 year, causing Mu Corporation enormous losses. And the person behind that company was none other than Lily's cousin. A cold smile played on my lips. Lily, Ethan, the debts you owed me in my previous life, this time, I will make you pay back both principal and interest. The bait was cast, I just had to wait for them to bite. Monday morning, the quarterly board meeting of Mu Corporation proceeded as usual. But today, there was something unusual. Just as Ethan, in his capacity as interim CEO, took his seat at the head of the table, the meeting room door swung open. I strode in, impeccably tailored in a business suit, my hair neatly tied in a bun, under the astonished gazes of all the shareholders and senior directors. Good morning, everyone. I smiled, a professional yet distant smile, then naturally took the empty seat beside Ethan, a position traditionally reserved for the chairman, my father's seat. The entire meeting room fell silent, all eyes fixed on Ethan, awaiting his reaction. The eldest daughter of the Mu family, renowned only for her hedonistic lifestyle, had never once set foot in the company, yet today she abruptly appeared at a board meeting. This was truly a bombshell. Ethan's expression darkened slightly. He looked at me, his voice carefully calm. Evelyn, why are you here? This is a board meeting. I know, I replied, opening the documents I had prepared. I am the largest shareholder of Mu Corporation, holding 51% of the shares. I believe I have sufficient qualifications to attend this meeting, don't I? No one could refute my reasoning. The directors exchanged glances, not daring to speak. Ethan took a deep breath, nodding stiffly. All right, let the meeting begin. Meeting unfolded in an odd atmosphere. I didn't say a word, just listened in silence, occasionally jotting something down in my notebook. My silence was more terrifying than any outburst. It created an invisible pressure that made the reporting directors choose their words with even greater caution. It wasn't until a finance director presented new investment projects that I finally spoke. Excuse me for interrupting, Director Chen. I lifted my head, my sharp gaze sweeping over him. I have a few questions regarding the investment project in Farstar Tech Company. As I see it, this is a newly established company with no prominent products on the market, and its financial reports aren't very promising. Why did Mu Corporation decide to inject such a large amount of capital into it? My question was like a stone dropped into a calm lake. Director Chen stammered, his forehead dotted with sweat. Miss Mu, this is a project with great potential. We've evaluated it very carefully. Potential? I scoffed, a cold smile on my lips. Potential based on what? Based on the CEO of that company's relationship with someone in our family, perhaps? I didn't say it outright, but my eyes meaningfully flickered towards Ethan. The entire meeting room fell silent once more. Everyone knew that the person behind Farstar Tech was Leo, Lily's cousin. This investment had been specifically approved by Ethan. My words were nothing less than publicly questioning his decision, implying that he was using company funds for the personal gain of his adopted sister's family. Ethan's expression turned extremely unpleasant. He lightly tapped his pen on the table, his voice visibly colder. "Evelyn Mew, what do you mean? Are you suspecting me?" "I wouldn't dare," I shrugged, my face innocent. "I'm merely fulfilling my responsibility as a major shareholder, questioning high-risk investments. This is Mew Corporation's money, my father's lifelong dedication. I cannot allow it to be used ambiguously. Or perhaps, Ethan, you could explain the potential of this project more clearly for everyone to hear." I had pushed Ethan into an inescapable corner. In front of the entire board of directors, he couldn't use his authority to suppress me. He was forced to provide a logical explanation, but the problem was he didn't have one. This investment was originally a result of Lily's tearful pleas, claiming her cousin was in difficulty and needed an opportunity to start a business. Ethan, out of pity for her, had turned a blind eye and approved it hastily. The meeting concluded in a tense atmosphere. I had successfully vetoed the Farstar Tech proposal for now, demanding a more detailed assessment report. That evening, Ethan returned home with an angry expression. As soon as he entered, he saw Lily run out, her eyes red and swollen. "Ethan, I'm sorry, it's all my fault," Lily sobbed. "I never thought Sister Evelyn would object to this at the meeting. My cousin, what will he do now? Is she intentionally targeting me?" In my previous life, Ethan would have immediately comforted her, then stormed into my room to vent his anger. But now, after everything that had happened, the suspicion in his heart had grown. He looked at Lily, his brows tightly furrowed. "Stop crying, I'll handle company matters." With that, he walked straight to his study, leaving a bewildered Lily behind. Ethan's cold demeanor terrified her. In his study, Ethan called his assistant. "Investigate everything about Farstar Tech Company again. Don't miss any details, especially regarding its financial situation and Leo's background." Hanging up the phone, he rubbed his temples. My image from this morning's meeting kept replaying in his mind. A sharp, rational, dignified Evelyn Mew, completely different from the woman who only knew how to be senselessly jealous that he had once known. My words were like a wake-up call, forcing him to reevaluate the situation. Had he been too trusting of Lily, becoming blind? A few days later, the assistant brought a confidential dossier. The more Ethan read, the gloomier his expression became. Farstar Tech was actually a hollow company, established solely to defraud investors. Leo, Lily's cousin, was a gambling addict deeply in debt. All the impressive reports he had submitted to Mew Corporation were forged. If this investment had been made, the money would have vanished without a trace. And what infuriated Ethan the most was discovering an audio recording of a conversation between Leo and Lily. In it, Lily's sweet voice clearly resounded. "Don't worry, cousin. As long as we trick Mew Corporation out of its money, I'll find a way to make sure Ethan can't pursue it. By then, Evelyn Mew will just be a fool we can manipulate however we want." Crash, Ethan slammed his hand down on the table, the ceramic cup shattering. His face was now colder than millennia-old ice. Deceit, betrayal, the fire of rage burned fiercely within him. He had been led by the nose by the two people he had wholeheartedly trusted and protected. Ethan stood up, quickly leaving the room. He had to find Lily and demand an explanation. And I, sitting in my bedroom, watched it all unfold through the hidden camera I had installed in the study, a smile playing on my lips. "Lily, it's time for your play to pay its price." The study door was violently pushed open, creating a booming sound that echoed through the quiet hallway. I was sitting on the sofa in the living room, calmly sipping chrysanthemum tea, a faint curve on my lips. The storm had finally arrived. Ethan descended the stairs, his face as dark as the sky before a thunderstorm, the murderous aura radiating from him making the air in the house seem to freeze. Lily, watching TV, startled and turned around. Seeing Ethan's terrifying expression, the smile on her lips stiffened. "Ethan, what's wrong?" She timidly stood up, her voice tinged with panic. Ethan didn't answer. He walked directly in front of her, his gaze as cold as a dagger, staring at Lily's slowly paling face. This deadly silence was far more terrifying than 1,000 scoldings. Lily began to tremble, instinctively stepping back. "Ethan, don't scare me." Tears welled up in her large, innocent eyes. This was Lily's most familiar and effective trick, but this time it had no effect. "Scared?" Ethan let out a sneering laugh, a laugh full of sarcasm and hatred. "You know how to be scared? I thought you were incredibly bold, daring to deceive me, daring to treat me like a fool and lead me by the nose." Lily was stunned, her body swaying as if about to fall. "Ethan, what are you talking about? I don't understand." "Don't understand." Ethan pulled out his phone, tapped a few times, then threw it onto the coffee table in front of her. "Then listen and understand." From the phone, an audio recording played, every word clear, the exact conversation between her and her cousin, Leo. "Don't worry, cousin. As long as we trick Mew Corporation out of its money, I'll find a way to make sure Ethan can't pursue it. By then, Evelyn Mew will just be a fool we can manipulate however we want." Her own sweet, clear voice echoed, each word like a sledgehammer blow to Lily. Her face instantly turned ashen white, utterly bloodless. All her disguises, all her feigned weakness vanished, leaving only panic and despair. "No, no," she stammered, frantically shaking her head. "This is fake, someone is framing me. Ethan, you have to believe me. It must be Sister Evelyn. She's jealous of me, so she set this up to drive us apart." Even at this point, she still wanted to drag me down. Truly, she was Lily. Ethan looked at her, his eyes filled with disappointment and disgust. "Even now, you still want to blame Evelyn? What has she done? She's only trying to protect her family's assets. And you, what have you done? You exploited my trust, conspired with outsiders to defraud the very company that sheltered you." "No, I didn't," Lily shrieked, tears streaming down her face. She lunged, trying to grab Ethan's arm, but he pushed her away mercilessly. "Don't touch me." Ethan's voice was ice cold. "I feel dirty." The two words, "feel dirty," were like a death sentence, causing Lily to completely collapse. She crumpled to the floor, sobbing hysterically. It was at this moment that I slowly stood up, walking towards them with a look of surprise and concern. "What's wrong? Lily, why are you sitting on the floor like this?" I bent down, intending to help her up. Lily saw me, her eyes blazing with hatred. "Evelyn Mew, it's you. You're behind all of this. You ruined me." She was like a cornered beast, lunging at me, raising her hand to scratch my face, but Ethan was quicker. He pulled me behind him, shielding me, his eyes filled with absolute fury as he glared at Lily. "Are you insane? You dare lay a hand on your own sister?" I huddled behind Ethan, gently tugging his sleeve, my voice trembling. "Ethan, don't be angry. She's probably just overly agitated. If there's a misunderstanding, let's talk it out calmly. After all, we're family." My benevolence only highlighted Lily's madness and malice. Ethan's expression grew even more unpleasant. He looked at Lily, still wailing on the floor, his last shred of patience gone. He called the butler, his voice devoid of emotion. "Butler Chen, pack Miss Lily's luggage and see her out of this house. From now on, she is no longer a part of the Mew family." Lily snapped her head up, unable to believe her ears. "No, Ethan, you can't treat me like this. Your parents brought me here, you have no right to kick me out. My parents took you in so you could live a good life, not so you could become a venomous snake turning back to bite your own family," Ethan growled. "Whether I have the right or not is not for you to decide. Guards, take her out." Two servants immediately stepped forward, grabbing Lily's arms. She struggled wildly, screaming. "Let me go. Ethan, you'll regret this. Evelyn Mew, I'll never forgive you." Her curses slowly faded, then died out completely as the grand door slammed shut. The house returned to a suffocating silence. I looked at Ethan. He stood with his back to me, his shoulders rigid. The anger had passed, leaving behind weariness and emptiness. I walked over to him and gently said, "Ethan, aren't you being too harsh?" Ethan turned to look at me, his eyes incredibly complex anger, regret, and a novel gaze I had never seen before. "Harsh?" He laughed self-deprecatingly. "If you hadn't discovered this today, Mew Corporation would probably have been hollowed out by her. Evelyn, I'm sorry, I was too blind." This was the first time in 2 lifetimes that I had heard an apology from Ethan. I remained silent. At this moment, silence was the best answer. It conveyed both my past hurt and my current magnanimity. Lily was kicked out of the house, penniless. This was only the first step in my revenge plan. Her play had ended, but my play was just reaching its climax. After Lily was expelled, the large villa became strangely quiet. No more sniffling cries, no more fake sisterly dramas. The air itself seemed much clearer. But this quietness brought an indescribable awkwardness between Ethan and me. He began to try and make amends, with clumsy but sincere actions I had never seen in both lifetimes combined. He would personally go down to the kitchen to make breakfast, though the result was usually a batch of burnt toast. He would buy bouquets of deep red roses, which I once loved, though now in my eyes they were just a tasteless waste. He even sat patiently, explaining complex clauses in Mew Corporation's contracts to me, his eyes no longer guarded but filled with tenderness and regret. But my heart had grown cold long ago. I received all his attempts at compensation with a calm demeanor. I would eat the burnt breakfast without a single complaint. I would ceremoniously place the bouquets in a vase. I would listen attentively as he explained work matters, but that was all. An invisible distance always remained between us. I no longer argued, no longer felt jealous, but I also no longer felt passionate love. I was like a polite business partner, while he was like someone trying to salvage a dead marriage. My coldness made Ethan increasingly restless. He would rather I screamed and cursed at him as before than face the terrifyingly calm Evelyn Mew I was now. He didn't know that the best punishment wasn't revenge, but complete oblivion. Meanwhile, Lily, after being kicked out of the house, naturally wouldn't sit idly by. Cut off from all financial resources, she quickly resorted to her most potent weapon, public opinion. A few days later, a lengthy article with a sensational title began to spread on social media. The agony of an orphan girl abandoned by her wealthy sister and brother-in-law, the truth behind the gates of the rich. The article, written from the perspective of a close friend of Lily's, pathetically recounted her pitiable life. How she was adopted by the Mew family, but was always resented and suppressed by her elder sister, Evelyn Mew. It claimed that Evelyn Mew was a tyrannical, promiscuous woman who stopped at nothing to torment her adopted sister. It alleged that Ethan, blinded by his doting love for his wife, heartlessly threw the poor orphaned girl out onto the streets in the middle of the night. The article also included several photos of Lily with swollen eyes and a gaunt face, huddled in a shabby rental room, eliciting pity from viewers. Immediately, a storm of public opinion erupted. Netizens, always eager for high society drama, quickly divided into two camps, with the majority siding with Lily, the underdog in the story. "Oh my God, I never expected Evelyn Mew to be like that. Such a pretty face, but a heart of stone. Poor little Lily, truly a beauty burdened by fate. CEO Ethan is just a henpecked husband after all. All my admiration for him was wasted. Boycott Mew Corporation. Boycott these cold-blooded, heartless people." Mew Corporation's stock began to show slight dips. Business partners called to inquire about the situation. The reputation Ethan and the Mew family had built over years was being shaken by an article of questionable veracity. Ethan was so furious he smashed his newly bought phone. He immediately ordered the company's PR department to quash this crisis immediately, find the person behind that article, use money to silence the media, and sue that little Lily to death. He roared in his office. I walked in, placed a cup of coffee on his desk, my voice still calm. "Calm down, Ethan. The more you blow this up, the more people will believe we have something to hide." "Then what do you suggest I do?" he asked, rubbing his tired forehead. "Just let her tarnish our reputation and Mew Corporations like this." I looked at him, a mysterious smile playing on my lips. "Who said we'd let it go?" I turned the tablet on his desk towards him. On the screen were countless comments cursing and insulting him and me. "See, her play is very successful. The audience is deeply invested. If we suddenly close the curtain, wouldn't it be a letdown?" Ethan frowned, not understanding my meaning. "What's your plan?" "My plan is very simple," I said, a sharp glint in my eyes. "Let her perform. Let her cry and complain, receive as much sympathy as possible. I might even lend her a hand to fan this fire even higher." I picked up my teacup and gently blew on it. "Because, Ethan, don't you know? The bigger the stage, the brighter the spotlights, the more spectacular the fall. Lily, you just enjoy this false glory, because I've prepared an ending for you even more pathetic than your previous life." Just as I planned, the storm of public opinion grew fiercer. Lily, bolstered by online support, began accepting interviews from tabloid news outlets. On screen, she cried, recounting her miserable childhood, my alleged bullying, and Ethan's cruelty. She played the victim perfectly, driving the wave of indignation aimed at Mew Corporation and my husband and me to its peak. The company's stock continuously plummeted. Ethan was on tenterhooks. He repeatedly wanted to take drastic measures to put an end to everything, but I stopped him every time. I simply told him to trust me and wait. My composure left him both bewildered and with an inexplicable sense of trust. When Lily's play was at its absolute climax, when she had become a symbol of weakness trampled by power, I knew the time was ripe. Mew Corporation abruptly announced an official press conference. Immediately, this news attracted the attention of the entire media. Everyone was curious to see how Ethan and I would confront this crisis. Lily, in an interview, even feigned concern, saying she hoped her sister wouldn't do anything foolish. The day of the press conference arrived, the hall packed with reporters. Ethan and I stepped onto the stage together. He wore a formal black suit, while I chose an elegant and graceful long white dress. We showed no signs of weariness or anger. On the contrary, we were utterly calm. After Ethan delivered a few opening remarks, I took the microphone. "Good morning, everyone," I smiled. My smile was broadcast live on the large screen. "These past few days, I've watched a truly exceptional play, and today I'm here to tell everyone the ending of that play." I offered no explanations or denials. Instead, I signaled to the technical staff. On the large screen behind us, the audio recording of Lily's conversation with Leo was replayed. The clear sound echoed throughout the hall. The reporters were stunned. Next was the complete investigation file on Leo, a gambling addict buried in debt, along with a detailed plan for defrauding Mew Corporation. The atmosphere in the hall began to stir. "Perhaps everyone thinks Lily is just an innocent girl deceived by her cousin," I continued, my tone full of sarcasm. "Then please keep watching." On the screen, a series of bank statements appeared. These were the monthly allowances that the Mew family had provided to Lily for many years. The colossal sums were enough for her to live a lavish life like a queen, completely contradicting the image of a pitiful orphan girl she had fabricated. Along with this were images from security cameras, recording her repeatedly inflicting injuries upon herself, deliberately staining her clothes, and then blaming others. The entire hall erupted. The truth was exposed, raw and brutal. The reporters who just days before had written articles praising Lily now had pale faces, but that was still not the final blow. "And the last thing," I said, my voice turning icy, "is to answer the question that everyone has always wondered about: who exactly is Lily?" A DNA report was displayed on the screen. It showed that Lily had no blood relation to Leo's family. "So, who is her biological father?" I paused, looking directly into the camera lens. "Is Mr. Zhang, the chairman of Prosperous Real Estate Group, Mew Corporation's biggest competitor for the past 20 years. A true bombshell had been dropped. Lily was not an orphan accidentally brought home by my parents. She was a pawn planted by our rival into my family from a young age, with the ultimate goal of one day conspiring from within and without to seize control of Mew Corporation. Her entire pitiable background was a meticulously staged play. I concluded my statement. The entire hall fell silent. Only the continuous flashing of cameras could be heard. Everyone was shocked by this horrifying truth. Immediately after the press conference, public opinion turned 180 degrees. Lily, from a pitiful victim, became a fraud, a venomous snake reviled by society. Mr. Zhang's prosperous group also reeled from the scandal, its stock plummeting disastrously. Facing investigations from the authorities, Lily and Leo were arrested by the police for fraud and slander. Everything had ended. That evening in the study, Ethan stood silently, looking at me for a very long time. His eyes no longer held complexity or regret, only astonishment and admiration. He had never known that the wife he always considered shallow could be so calm, sharp, and ruthless. "Evelyn, He was about to say something, but I placed a document on the table in front of him. Divorce papers. Ethan was stunned. "Why?" "There is no why," I smiled, a smile of relief and serenity. "Truly, Ethan, I once loved you to death and back, but that love died with the Evelyn Mew of my previous life. The me of now doesn't need love nor your compensation. I have exacted my revenge, protected my parents' legacy. The only bond between us is gone. You deserve someone better," Ethan said, his voice hoarse. "But please, give me a chance to pursue you again from the beginning, all right?" I didn't answer. I just turned and walked out to the balcony, looking down at the city glittering with lights. In my previous life, I lost everything because I loved him. In this life, I let go of him to gain the whole world. Will we get back together? I don't know. The future is a blank page. But one thing I know for sure: from now on, Evelyn Mew, will personally write the story of my own life. A story no longer filled with tragedy, no longer with tears, only freedom and pride. The curtain has fallen, and I am finally the victor.